Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Hi, I'm Jay Fallon, and thanks for listening to the Slippery Slope. So I was told about this article, read through it, a little bit frustrating. I think the article as a whole is fairly disingenuous. It calls itself, says that they've done an investigation. To me, what they've done is what's commonly referred to in policing as a desktop investigation. So they've just gone through, found whatever articles agree with, affirm, support the ideas that they've already had in place anyway. They haven't bothered to go out and confirm things, to reaffirm things, anything. They haven't gone out to assess information. What's already out there? They've just gone along, done a desktop investigation, pulled up a few articles. We'll write about this. We'll get what we call an expert. It's just someone giving their opinion. I'm so tired of people who, tell us all they're an expert in this field, that they know exactly what they're talking about, and you sit there going, do you really? Because this really just feels like you've got an agenda, and you're just pushing the agenda. That's all it is. The Herald Sun, the headline, sovereign citizens are spin doctors and con artists. Experts want the government to kill the movement at the source. Reading through it, like I said, the article to me is very disingenuous, but you go through, stick to the end, and then you see why, what really the motive is, what it's really all about. That's at the very end, you sit there going, so this is all it is. This is exactly what it is. So a Sunday Herald Sun investigation. Like I said, to me, reading through it, this isn't an investigation. They've just done a desktop. They've just gone through, found information that is readily available online, just kind of lumped it all together, gotten in someone who can help support their argument, support their motivations, and this is their investigation. This is just a desktop investigation to me. So revealed a slew of websites and social media accounts are making big money from advising Aussies how to live off the grid and avoid paying taxes and fines. And experts are warning the government must act. Experts are warning. Yeah, okay. Experts are calling on the federal government to crack down on websites promoting gobbledygook pseudo-law. What is that, the technical name, gobbledygook? Saying they are fueling a massive rise in so-called sovereign citizens. And I get it. People don't like being referred to as sovereign citizens, and, it's an oxymoron and all that. Okay, I'm just, don't crucify me. I'm just quoting what's in the paper here. So, Sunday Herald Sun investigation revealed a plethora of websites and social media accounts making big money from advising Australians how to go off-grid and not pay taxes and fines. This ranges from not getting a birth certificate for your child and driving around with homemade number plates to not paying taxes and fines. Desi Freeman, who has been on the run for 12 days, after executing 2 police officers, is someone who identifies as a sovereign citizen. A lot of people have been writing in saying, he didn't identify as a sovereign citizen, but whatever. I suppose only he can really answer to that. So they are anti-government and believe they can opt in or out of any law they like, and when confronted, can use self-defense as a way in which to protect themselves. It's legal gobbledygook to suggest for a moment that you can contract your way out of law. It's pseudo-law. Professor David Halpern, Dean of Law at Southern Cross University, says sovereign citizens claw back through ancient laws like the Magna Carta to suggest the law doesn't apply to them. They say that law is not a social construct. It's a commercial arrangement between individuals and the state. And they cling to this concept that they can opt in or out of laws as they fit. Now, my experience when I was a police officer, I did have a lot of people say this kind of jargon to me, that law is stating that law is not a social construct, it's some kind of commercial. They talk about corporations and the government's just a corporation, QPS is a corporation, blah, 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 whatever. I'll be like, well, A fine's a fine, and you do with it what you will. He added that that's why you hear them say, I don't consent. Being a contract is a willing arrangement between two parties, and they say they don't consent to the contract of traffic laws, or that when their children were taken from them, it was a legitimate exercise of the authority of the family court, or that they have to pay tax, or they have their car registered, blah, blah, blah. They say they don't believe in that, and they contract out of it. Associate Professor Harry Hobbs from the Faculty of Law and Justice at the University of New South Wales said the people peddling this nonsense were making huge financial gains. It's funny. Like I said, when I was in the police, when I was doing general duties and was working in the far north, I met quite a few people who uh, seem to hold fast to this kind of sovereign citizen ideology. Um, None of them seem to be making a lot of money out of it, if any kind of money. And the people that I just never saw any evidence to say that they're making huge financial gains. Maybe in some other areas, not where I was working, but we'll see. So he goes, it's a very commodified and marketable product. You have a bunch of people traveling around the country, renting seminar halls, giving lectures and instructions to people about how to avoid paying your mortgage, and you can do it lawfully. And if you use this one simple trick, you'll never have to register your vehicle again or pay fines. Mies do think he might be giving a slight exaggeration of this. A bunch of people traveling around the country, renting seminar halls, making huge financial gains. I don't know. Never seen this, but well, you know, this is big business, he says. There's lots of money to be made, Professor Hobbs said. Okay, okay. Professor Helpin, a former magistrate, said sovereign citizens had been in Australia since the 60s, but it was always a fringe movement until the COVID pandemic. Again, I disagree with this. I dealt with a lot of people in the far north who seem to hold to this ideology, whether it was everything in the ideology or just parts of it. There were a lot of people that seemed, and this was way before the pandemic. It goes on, says the this is my body and you can't make me vaccinate movement led to disillusion with the state, and people were susceptible to an ideology that says, you don't have to actually comply with the law. You have rights as a sovereign individual, and that is your own body and your own space. And you have the ability to travel as you wish without laws and regulations and live your life as you want to. He added, but it's a delusion. You think that your beliefs and your views are real, even though they have no foundation in law and have never been accepted by any court. That's why no lawyer will represent these people, because it's unethical to present a matter to the court that you think is completely wrong. Now, let's go back to this paragraph here. This is my body and you can't make me vaccinate. This is the big issue I had with the police. Now, like I said, when I was a police officer, when it came back to the vaccine mandates, and they sent me all the paperwork saying, hey, you've got to agree to this, and if you don't agree, well, then you're going to get stood down a couple of weeks with pay, and then after that with no pay. We treat you like a criminal. We bring you in, question you before with the ethical standards. We question you like a criminal, record everything. Now, when I was sitting in this interview, being treated like a criminal, they question you. They had a list of questions that they're already running through, and they're turning the page. And I'm sitting there going, "Wow, well, this is very strange." It's like they'd already made up their mind. Like they're saying, "Well, how did you come to this? How did you come to this belief? What websites are you looking at? Why did you look at?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm not looking at all these websites. I'm not doing these things. You've got the wrong idea." In the end, I had to stop the officer, the senior constable, and say, "Look, I'm not anti-vaccine," because the only line of questioning that they were going down is, why are you anti-vaccine? What information have you gathered? Where are you gathering this information from? Who has infected your brain to make you think that vaccines don't work? So I have to stop him and say, I'm not anti-vaccine at all. I said to them, every year I would get my flu vaccine. It's not because you told me to or anyone else. I just thought this might be a good idea. And I believe vaccines help. So I went and got it. I went and got vaccinated. No one ever questioned me about it. The police, the hierarchy never asked anything about it. I just got it done. That's what I did. It was my choice. When it came to the COVID-19 mandate, I was looking at it. I didn't. All the information I could find about, because I was just looking up about the vaccine. I thought, well, I want to look up what was the best. I was going to get vaccinated. I thought, well, I want to find out which is the best vaccine to use. And the more I read about it, the more I thought, well, I don't want to use any of these vaccines. None of them sound good to me at all. And every year you have to do your online training, and you have to go through the Human Rights Act for Queensland and say, yep, I agree with this and I will uphold human rights in Queensland. And yet the part that says that, you cannot force someone to undergo a medical procedure, I happen to agree with that. But yet the first opportunity that the police, that the commissioner, former Commissioner Katarina Carroll, had to say, well, every year we tell you to go through the Human Rights Act and do a little test, but this year we're going to forget it. And with the information that they give you, with the paperwork they give you, they say, yeah, we recognize that human rights says that we cannot force you to undergo a medical procedure. However, we're going to just forget all that, and then we're going to make you do it. And this is the line of questioning. These are the things that they put to you. And I say, well, no, this is what I believe. I don't believe I should be forced to get this done. And it is my body, and I don't want to get this done. I had a big problem with being forced to undergo a medical procedure, or to get injected with something I didn't want to get injected with. They couldn't see. Well, actually, the more we talked, you could see the light was finally starting to go on. Oh, okay, maybe I'm not anti-vax. Maybe I'm not some crazy, maybe I don't believe in some kind of other weird ideology. I just don't believe that I should be forced by someone else to undergo something that on my body that I don't want to do. And it's funny because they treat you like a criminal. They talk to you like you're an idiot. Uh, they forced me out of the job. Little nufty Shane Pryor sat next to me and recommended later on down the track. He recommended that I quit because they will just have this hanging over my head, and they'll use it against me. So okay, so I took his advice and I quit. Silly me. But yet a couple of years later, when it comes back, the courts rule that the mandate, made by the police commissioner, former police commissioner Katarina Carroll, was illegal, was unlawful. I don't get any apology. I don't get any recognition that, hey, the way we treated you was wrong. The questioning was wrong. That what we did, we were actually the ones who were in the wrong. And then, yeah, you standing up and saying, well, this is my body and I don't have to be vaccinated. I don't have to be forced. I shouldn't be forced to do something because it's my body. You're actually right. No one comes along and says, well, yeah, Jay, we were wrong. It's just you're completely ignored. You're treated like a fool. And this is what he's lumping everyone in. They just put everyone in as if, you're all crazy people. Your body, your choice. You don't really have the rights to do all this. I hate the way they want to put everyone in a box. They want to silo everyone, put a little label on, oh, this is what you believe. Well, then you belong in that group. Just because I don't want to be vaccinated with this one thing doesn't mean that I have to fall into a sovereign citizen or anti-vaxxer kind of ideology, or this is the group that I belong to. I read the Bible. I believe in the Bible. It doesn't mean I'm like some far right, what they classify as I am classified. They've classified me as a far right nut job, religious ideologist. I just believe in the Bible. 50 years ago, it'd be like, oh, you believe in the Bible? You believe in A, B, C, D in the Bible? Oh, okay. You're just like most other people in the community that you grew up in. There's nothing far right about it, but now it's something that's looked at with disdain and disgust. How can you possibly believe in these things? Anyway, that's my little rant. Anyway, so it goes on in here. It's a little belief that becomes part of their fundamental identity, and that's the danger. They identify as sovereign citizens, and no logic, no law, no common sense, no family argument, and it would seem no use of force by the authorities is going to be acceptable by them. you see what they're doing here? They're trying to put everyone in this group and they're the enemy. They're turning everyone against each other. That's what they're doing. Professor Hobbs said some sovereign citizen spruikers offered to represent defendants in court for a fee. This is interesting. This he says they say I'm not a lawyer, but I'm a legal advocate, so I can represent you in court as a Mackenzie friend, and I've got a lot of experience going to court. And we know lawyers are corrupt and the judges are corrupt, but I know the special words to make sure you'll be okay. One woman in Queensland, Heidi Ward, claims she has a 90% success rate, but then you look at the court judgments and it's all nonsense. But she's still charging people to represent them in court. Now, I did an interview, obviously, with Heidi, like, what, 2 weeks ago, something like that. I asked, and I've since then, since this article came out, I contacted Heidi. I asked her point blank. I got the message, and I said, true or false? Do you charge people like they're saying to represent them in court? She says, absolutely not. She does not charge people. But no one has contacted her. She got blindsided, as far as I know, she got blindsided with this article. No one contacted her to confirm, do you actually charge people? No one's contacted her for anything. And yet they've gone after her. I also, before I did the interview, before we started the interview, I talked to Heidi because I wanted to get an idea of what she was about. Because I do a lot of episodes about police, and obviously I have an issue with police and the way police behavior. But my main issue is one is the hierarchy, the leadership and the lack of leadership within police, especially Queensland police. I have a big problem with the way they're recruiting now. Shane Pryor and his great little idea of let's get police who want instead of their motto, the slogan is protect and serve. Instead of saying, hey, we want people who want to protect and serve the community, he's gone there and said, oh, let's get people who want lifestyle and money. And I don't think it's working out too well for him. All I'm saying is Heidi Ward, when I spoke to her, she was not, I didn't get the impression that she was, that she agreed with the sovereign citizen ideology. And I didn't get the opinion that she was anti-police. Actually, she made a point of telling me that she believes police are very necessary in our society, and she supports police, and she wants good police. It just seems to be that she's had a lot of bad experience with a lot of bad police and a lot of police who are probably not the most, what would you say, the most experienced police officers. And in some cases, she may have gotten a raw end of the deal in some cases. So this is what happens. But she made it very clear to me that she is not anti-police, and she's not, she doesn't fall for the ideology of sovereign citizen kind of ideology. She actually ran for council. She's not against taxes or government fees or anything like that. But I remember she did tell me she's not against rates. She's just against getting charged for ridiculous things like paying a fee to keep a dog in your own yard. And some of these things I'm sitting there going, yeah, I kind of agree with that because it's my dog. I'm keeping the dog. Like, you don't charge me for having a child, but you're going to charge me for having a dog in the yard or a dog in my house, whatever. Some of these things she is very much against, but she made it very clear to me that she sees the sense of paying taxes, paying rates, paying registration. She sees the sense and the benefit of having a police service that's reliable and that's experienced and that you can trust and that know what they're doing, Shane Pryor. You need to have police that know what they're doing, buddy. Anyway, so this is what I mean. Like, they've just done a desktop investigation, as the simple man, he loves those desktop investigations. Anyway, and no one's called her to confirm. I did anyway, but so no, she says not. So anyway, I don't want to go through any more of this article. It's really, you get to the very end down here. Professor Helpman said it was a slippery slope once people sign up to the belief that the laws don't apply to them. It's then very easy to argue, as Desi Freeman seems to have done, that the police are acting unlawfully against him, so they believe they are under attack and they are able to defend themselves now. This is from Professor Hobbs. It says, he added, that's why I think shutting these websites down that are selling this stuff in their social media communities is important to minimizing the spread because it's fraudulent. This fatal police shooting shows it as a really significant issue, and these websites are an entry point for many people. Consumer Affairs should already have the power to do this, and it needs to happen immediately. I believe this is what it's actually all about. This, in reality, what these kinds of articles are really trying to do, they are steering the argument, steering the narrative that we need to stifle free speech. We don't need free speech. It's for your safety, for your health, for your safety. All these people, they are bad, they're evil. We put out these disparaging articles about them. They don't know what they're talking about. There is no truth in what they're saying. Don't believe them. They're all just idiots. We need to shut them down. It's all about shutting down free speech. That's all it is. Isn't it funny that it's always these people on the left? It was always, during the pandemic, it was all these people on the left saying, well, the government can do what they want. The police commissioner, she made this law, she made this rule, you have to go and get it done. A couple of years later, when they come out and say, well, it was actually unlawful, no one says anything then. They're all freaking quiet, keeping their mouth shut then. This is what they're doing. They're all out there just spruiking their own ideologies. Don't listen to these people. They are bad, but we want to shut down free speech. This whole article is just being used to shut down free speech. They come along saying peace and safety. For your peace, for your safety, we have to shut down these websites. We have to stifle free speech. We have to do this. The same thing was happening with the Wyambella police shooting. These people, they'd listen to someone who had a bit of a religious bent. So now it's anyone who reads the Bible, anyone who believes in the Bible, they must belong to this group. Maybe we should start looking at those kinds of people. It's all about stifling free speech, shutting free speech down. That's what it's really about. It's funny how it's always the same type of people, the same type of organizations coming out and, they're not actually doing investigation. They're not actually talking to people, confirming information. They're just, this is what happened. Shut it down. Shut down all the websites. It's for your peace and safety. When people come and when they start saying for your peace and safety, that's when you start looking around going, someone's about to come and crack me over the back of the head with a 4x4. But to me, all of this is just about shutting down information, shutting down free speech, stifling free speech. They just want everyone just to think mindlessly, just in one way. Just do this, that's all. Don't think for yourselves, just listen to what we say. Anyway, that's all my opinion. It's just my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. I'm Jay Fallon. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope.
They just fuel the desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's gonna